If I ever took a loss, I learned a lesson. I won't ever think I'm better than the next man. I've been down before to come up, I ain't stressing. Baby, I'm too busy counting all these blessings.
What's up, world? Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and the inspiration. You are listening to MTB Radio, and I'm your host, MTB. I'm a hip-hop artist, songwriter, author, and I am your radio host for this evening. Our show is being sponsored and brought to you by Abundant Life Ministries of Gastonia. Abundant Life Ministries at 1910 East Ozark Avenue, Gastonia, North Carolina, under the direction of Pastor Terrence Austin and Pastor Janicia Austin. We are having a discussion this week, continuing from last week, talking about the subject of change. So if you'd like to weigh in, please feel free to reach out to me on social media as we discuss change in our community. We briefly hit on a few things last week, and I want to kind of start there and kind of carry over into some things we're going to get into this week about changing our community. We kind of deal with the black male and his role in the community, that we need effective change in. We want to, make sure we have positive male role models. We need males in our community. We don't need males locked up. We don't need you on the street corner. We don't need you doing things illegal. We need you as a positive influence in helping raise these young men and these young women in our community, and helping being fathers and husbands and brothers. And we need you in the community as well. So this afternoon, I want to talk to us about changing the community, but I want to talk about the influence that we have in the community. And it's not so much about the black male, it's about the black female also. I want to talk about the influence that we have over adults as well as young people in our community. One of the things that has a great influence in our community is the music that we listen to. And I want to kind of talk about some of the lyrics of the music that we listen to, because music as a whole in our community, we listen to a lot of R&B, we listen to a lot of rap, we listen to a lot of pop, but I'm concerned about the message that we're sending to our adults as well as our young people. Anybody that's a fan of hip hop, I think we will all agree that hip hop as a whole has took a drastic change. As a hip hop artist, I've witnessed the change that has taken place in hip hop. One of the things that I always used to validate hip hop was that hip hop was a voice for what we were going through in our communities. Hip hop has always been that outlet that we use whenever we're going through a situation, whenever we're dealing with something. Hip hop has been that voice that was used to bring the message to the masses when we couldn't get it across on a political table, when we couldn't get it across in our media and television, when we couldn't get it across in radio. Hip hop has always been that outlet. It's kind of been like that underground source where the community could stay informed about several issues, serious issues that were not being addressed with our government and with our elected officials. How many times have we, growing up listening to hip hop, how many times have we heard a rapper or an artist discuss something that has taken place in our community, and they've given us more information about the subject and a way of going about it? Because some of our former rappers, old school rappers, KRS-One, Tupac, everybody loved Tupac, but Tupac had a great political message. A lot of the things that these rappers talked about, Common is another one. A lot of the things that these rappers talked about, they addressed issues and they gave us a blueprint of how to go about it. I remember several songs where Tupac was calling out some of the political leaders, was calling out some of the government officials, people who I had no idea who they were until I heard their name come across in a song by an artist. And that led me to do research. That led me to dig deeper into the situation to see what was going on. The message that was coming across was the focal point of the music. We don't have a message anymore. We have music today that simply, it's just a bunch of people on a song. Majority of them are high out of their minds, so they're saying whatever comes to mind, and really they don't have any idea what they're saying, because 9 times out of 10 it's been the tradition for years. Artists that I know is to go into the booth and you got to have a blunt. Go into the booth, you got to have a drink. Go into the booth, you got to pop a pill. So what happens is that we have young men, young women who are getting on the microphone and being broadcast to the worldwide audience. and they have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. They have no message. They have no focal point. They have no basis for the music. They're just simply blurting out whatever comes to mind, and they're zombies basically. They're puppets. They have no say-so in what's going on in our community. They're not doing anything, saying anything that's going to better our community. So we have to deal with the influence that's going on in our music. So that's just the warm-up. That's just getting started. I just wanted to get you to understand where we're going with our topic today. So that was just the warm-up. I just want you to know that you're listening to MTB Radio with me. I'm your host, MTB. You're currently tuned in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and the inspiration. And we'll be right back after this quick break. MTB Radio. You know what I'm talking about?
It will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory.
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots, we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Now the war is not over. Victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish. And then when it's all done, we'll cry glory. Oh, glory. Oh.
Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald ego. No one can win a war individually. It take the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours.
Welcome back, world. Welcome back to WDRB Media, the voice of the community. And for those of you who are streaming us through our free TuneIn Radio app or through iHeartRadio, you are now listening to MTB Radio. And now I'm your host, MTB. If you're just tuning in, we're continuing our discussion from last week, talking about change in our community. And what we've been talking about today is that we've been talking about the influences that we have in our community, and a lot of those influences come from the music that we listen to. You just heard here in our last break, you heard from John Legend and Common. The song is called Glory. The song has a lot of political issues being addressed, a lot of things going on in our community, a lot of things that's been going on since the time of the civil rights movement. So this is my example of positive rap. This is my example of rap that's going to help influence change, because a lot of the music that we have today has nothing even close to this. One particular artist, and I like the artist, so let's not bash the artist, but I'm just talking about the message that's coming across in the music. One particular song by this particular artist that I happen to like. He just doesn't have a message. He has no focal point. And the song starts off, I'm talking about the very beginning of the song, the very first words you hear, the song starts off by saying Percocet, Molly Percocet. So basically what you're telling the people is that before we even get into the song, before you even rap one lyric, the first thing you want people to do is focus on taking drugs. The first thing you want people to do is to focus on taking something that's going to take you out of your conscience, that's going to take away your common sense. You want people to walk around being zombies. And we wonder why we're in the state that we're in our community, why we don't have the knowledge that we need to fight against the injustice in our community, because majority of us walking around being zombies. Have no problem with lyrics and music that's going to be for clubs. Have no problem with lyrics or music that's for you to have a good time, that's for us to dance to, that's for us to have fun to. But at some point we got to get back to the message. Our old school rappers, I keep referring to the old school rappers because they did that. They made music for the club. They made music for us to party to, dance to, music for us to ride to. But when it was time to address an issue, they made music that would help us when we were going through something in our community. This particular song that we just listened to from John Legend and Common was a song that came out, I believe it was for the movie Selma, and I believe it came out and it became really popular over the last couple of years based upon, the things that we've seen with the police shootings in our communities. I remember when they had the riot in Charlotte when it first jumped off, and there were several people doing Facebook Live when the riot was going on, when the vandalism was going on. And I remember there was a crowd of people gathered around the apartment complex where the shooting took place. And there were several people there in their cars, and they were standing around the cars, and they were gathering, and they were playing music. They were playing music for people to get excited, and people was, jumping around, getting motivated because, something was getting ready to happen. Whether or not their intentions were good, I can't say. Can't speak for everybody, but it just seemed like everybody was using music as a way to pump them up. And the song choice that several people were using had absolutely nothing to do with the cause. It had absolutely nothing to do with peace, had absolutely nothing to do with change. It was some ratchet artists talking about shooting, killing, smoking, drinking, sex, drugs, money, whatever. Had absolutely nothing to do with anything that was going to influence change, anything that was going to make the situation better. I remember one of the comments somebody had posted while the live feed was going on. Somebody said, y'all out there playing music, why don't y'all play this song Glory? Why don't y'all play John Legend and Common song Glory? Nobody responded. And in my mind, I remember thinking that's the last thing that this group of people want to hear, because they don't want positive influences in our community. They don't want change. Our young men and young women have been brainwashed to think that something positive is lame, to think that something positive is not acceptable in our community, when we're the ones who are consistently complaining about what's going on in the community and we need to change it, but nobody's making an effort to change it. I'm not bashing anyone else. I'm not bashing anybody's profession, but when you listen to the radio stations, when you listen to different radio outlets, when we go to our YouTube channels, when we go to all the different radio outlets and apps, and we're listening to what's considered to be the hits, the top 10, top 20 hits, they ain't talking about absolutely nothing. It's zero change in our music. It's zero change in our entertainment. Everything that's grossing the most money, everything that's gaining the most popularity is surrounded by some negativity, some foolishness, some ratchetness, some Real Housewives or Real Love and Hip Hop, some foolishness that they call reality TV that has absolutely nothing to do with the positive influence in our community. And we wonder why our community is in the shape that it's in. Is because our community celebrates foolishness. We are allowing these influences, especially in our music. And I'm speaking on behalf of as an artist. In our music, we allow foolishness to pass as art. We're allowing foolishness to be accepted as something that's an art form from our people. Well, guess what? These ratchet rappers don't speak for me. These ratchet Real Housewives and Love and Hip Hop folk, they don't speak for me, because I want something better. I want something different. I want something that's going to be a positive influence in my community, so we don't have to revisit this subject every other month or every 6 months or every year. So where there's a police shooting, somebody dies and the police gets off. I don't want to have to revisit this subject where every so often there's an injustice and everybody goes, well, you know, black people do this and black people do that, and the white man got everything and the white man get away with this. Well, the reason is because we don't have effective change in our community. We don't have anything to stand on, and we don't have anything that we stand for. Need everybody to wake up, because it's time for change. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show today. Please continue to tune in every Friday at 11:30 a.m. Please remember that you can connect with me through your social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. Just search Minister T Breeze. If you like to be a guest on the show, if you just like some free advertisement through the radio station, feel free to email me at mtbradiowdrb@gmail.com. You've been listening to the MTB Radio Show, and I'm your host, MTB, on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, for double the information and the inspiration. Until next week, continue to stay blessed, and remember, this has been the realest 15 minutes of your week.
If I ever took a loss, I learned a lesson. I won't ever think I'm better than